Have you ever cleaned your whole house? Swept every corner, mopped every floor, and still felt like something wasn't right? Like the space was spotless, but your energy felt off? Your money kept slipping? And your home, somehow, didn't feel like it had your back? That's not in your head. That's a Feng Shui signal. Because in Feng Shui, how you clean isn't just about dirt. It's about direction, intention, and whether your house knows you're trying to keep the good stuff in or accidentally pushing it away. That's what this video is about. Rachel is 39, works remote, owns her own place, and she thought she was doing everything right until she realized her cleaning habits were slowly draining her cash flow, her clarity, and the wealth energy her space was supposed to hold. If this kind of wisdom speaks to you, if you've ever felt like you're doing everything to stay afloat, and it still isn't flowing, thank you for being here. Feel free to hit like, subscribe, or even drop a comment below. It helps YouTube know you're part of this quiet shift. Now let's walk through 5 everyday cleaning mistakes that seem harmless, but could be the very thing pushing your money and lucky flow right out the door. There's this quiet kind of confusion a lot of people don't know how to name. It's when your home is clean, your bills are mostly paid, you light your candles, play your peaceful playlist, and still, something about the space feels weird. Not haunted, not messy, just like the energy isn't working with you. That's what had been building up for Rachel. She's 39, lives outside Phoenix, works remote full-time, and has a 12-year-old who never stops talking about Minecraft. From the outside, she had it under control, but on the inside, things were not flowing. Cash came in, then vanished. She'd get paid, and 2 days later, it felt like it was already gone. And even after decluttering, after all the cleaning routines she picked up from YouTube, the energy in her house still felt tired. She kept telling herself maybe it was hormones, or stress, or just being 39. But deep down, she knew something in the house felt disconnected. And the weirdest part? Every time she swept the floor, the house felt heavier, not cleaner, not lighter, not fresh, just like she was pushing air out of a balloon that couldn't refill. It wasn't just sweeping. It was what kept happening after the sweeping. She'd start in the back hallway, do the living room, then the kitchen, then finish by sweeping everything straight to the front door and out. She thought she was clearing space, making room for better things, doing something good. But every time she did it, the money felt tighter, not in a dramatic way, just like it never stayed long. Tips from clients stopped coming in. The little windfalls she'd get from random things, like cashback apps or old gift cards, dried up. She even noticed groceries felt more expensive, like her receipt somehow stretched longer than her wallet. And after a few weeks, the vibe in her space just felt flat, like the energy had packed up and left. This is where Feng Shui gets serious. Because sweeping isn't just a cleaning thing, it's an energy-moving thing. In Feng Shui, the direction you sweep matters. It tells your home which way you want the energy to go. And Rachel? She'd been sweeping from back to front, from room to door, over and over, which, energetically, is the same as saying, "I'm done with all this, take it out." But she wasn't just sweeping out dirt. She was sweeping out the good energy too. Wealth energy, stability energy, supportive flow, Her home didn't feel heavy because it was dirty. It felt heavy because it was running empty. She was clearing energy with no intention to refill it. That's the Feng Shui mistake. Rachel's the kind of person who doesn't wait to feel better. She grabs a broom, opens the blinds, turns on her podcast, and gets things done. But after months of doing all the right things, meditating, meal prepping, mopping, she was still drained. She was doing everything right, except understanding how energy moves. She wasn't being lazy. She was being over-efficient in the wrong direction. And that's what happens when we try to fix low energy by forcing motion without checking the meaning. Sweeping every day started to feel like trying to cheer yourself up by scrolling Zillow for homes you can't afford. Busy hands, tired soul. Imagine spending weeks watering your plants every single day and wondering why they're turning yellow. Turns out the roots are drowning. They didn't need more water. They needed space to breathe. That's Rachel's broom. She was overdoing something good in a way that drained the very thing she was trying to grow. Sweeping became a reflex. She was chasing clarity. But what she kept doing was pushing energy out the door without any energy coming back in. Just like deleting emails when your stress isn't about work, or organizing your spice drawer because you feel like nothing else in life is lining up. It feels productive, but it doesn't solve the core. This wasn't some big spiritual awakening. It started with a conversation over iced tea on her aunt's porch. Her Aunt Camille, whose half Bible Belt, half bay leaf, looked her straight in the eye and asked, "You sweeping it all out the front, baby?" Rachel paused and nodded. Camille just sipped her drink like she knew. Turns out, a lot of old-school energy systems, Southern home traditions, folk healing, and classic Feng Shui agree on this one thing. Sweeping outward constantly is like flushing a system that never gets refilled. Camille told her to try sweeping inward instead. Corners to center. Keep the motion slow. Gather the dust in one place. Then toss it out later intentionally. Rachel gave it a shot. The next morning, Rachel didn't reach for her broom out of frustration. She made her coffee first, put on her calm playlist, and opened the windows to let air in. This time, she started from the corners of each room, moving everything toward the center. Not rushing, just being with it. When she gathered the final pile, she didn't toss it right away. She let it sit. Like she was saying, "Let me choose what stays and what really needs to go." She didn't say any affirmations, didn't stage a full moon ritual. She just stood there, hand on hip, and took a slow breath. And somehow, the room felt different. Not sparkly, not magical, just like it finally exhaled. Later that week, her kid walked in and said, "Did you paint in here or something? It looks newer." She laughed and said, "Nope, just stopped sweeping everything out like a maniac." She even joked in her friend group chat, "Turns out I've been feng shuiing myself into poverty with a Swiffer." It got a few LOLs and a, "Wait, what?" But the truth was, she meant it. Now she's got a new rule. No sweeping before coffee, and never toward the front door. Some houses feel loud even when no one's talking. It's not the kind of noise you hear with your ears. It's the kind that hits you the moment you step in. The vibe feels scattered, Your brain skips around. Your thoughts bounce like a pinball machine. That was the shift Rachel noticed. After she fixed her sweeping habit, the cash flow didn't fix itself overnight. But the house felt calmer, lighter, like it was breathing with her, not against her. But then a different kind of problem showed up. Not in the air. Not in the money. In the corners. Every time she vacuumed, Rachel started feeling irritable. She thought it was just because her son left socks everywhere. But it was deeper than that. Every time she pulled out the vacuum, she'd go too far. Move every chair. Pull everything from under the bed. Go into every single corner. Obsess over every speck of dust. She started noticing a weird pattern. The more deep clean she did, the more anxious she got. Not calm, not refreshed. Just wired. And then it hit her. It wasn't the dust. It was the disruption. In Feng Shui, some corners are meant to hold energy. They're like little bowls of qi that keep the room grounded. If you keep disturbing them, yanking things out, moving furniture around all the time, the energy in those areas can't settle. It never gets to do its job. It's like shaking a snow globe every 5 minutes and wondering why nothing's ever clear. Rachel had been doing that. Not with snow, but with the most critical energetic areas of her home. The spots that were supposed to hold wealth energy or emotional stability were being stirred up like she was chasing a sale at Target. And the more she cleaned those zones, the more off balance the home felt. The cash flow calmed a little, but now she was feeling restless, disconnected. Sleep got weird. Mornings felt rushed, even when she had nowhere to be. The house wasn't heavy anymore. It was jittery. Rachel is a don't let it pile up kind of person. She cleans things before they get messy, solves things before they break, keeps things moving. But there's a downside to that kind of energy. It can turn into overcorrection, into fidgeting with your environment, so you don't have to sit with yourself. That's what started happening. She couldn't let the house be still. And when a house can't be still, neither can the energy inside it. Her corners weren't cluttered. They were exhausted. She didn't mean to mess with the flow. She just didn't know. That stillness can hold more money than movement. It's like constantly rearranging your desktop icons because you're too anxious to open your emails, or wiping down your countertops 5 times a day because you don't want to face your budget. Rachel was cleaning as a way to control the vibe. But what she was really doing was picking at the home's nervous system. That's what those key feng shui spots are. The quiet nervous centers of your space. The corners that aren't just corners. They're where energy rests, collects, holds charge. She wasn't giving those spaces a chance to restore anything. She kept wiping them out. This time, it wasn't her aunt. It was a friend in her mom's book club who casually mentioned Feng Shui Bagua zones. During a chat about clutter, Rachel looked it up, and that's when she realized the far left corner of her living room was her wealth corner. The far right corner of her bedroom, relationships. The center zone of her kitchen, health. And guess which areas she kept vacuuming? 3 times a week? Every single one of them. She wasn't just disrupting the energy, she was literally pulling it out before it could anchor itself. That weekend, she did something radical. She stopped cleaning certain spots. She mapped out the Bagua grid, marked her key zones with sticky notes on a sketch pad, then made a rule: leave these 3 areas alone for a bit. Let the energy collect. She placed a small rug in the wealth corner, added a bowl with coins and citrine. Didn't move it for a whole week. She put a small plant in the corner that held relationships. No wiping, no shifting. Just let it grow. And for the first time, she felt the air hold. The vibe in the house didn't bounce anymore. It settled, like the place had finally found its rhythm. And her sleep? Way better. She woke up feeling like her brain wasn't racing. Before her feet hit the floor, her son noticed too. Said the house felt less buzzy, which, coming from a 12-year-old, was basically a Nobel Prize. Rachel made another new rule. If it's not dirty and it's a key zone, don't touch it. She even joked on Instagram, "I'm feng shuiing my anxiety by leaving corners alone." Who knew rest could be this productive? And you know what? The cash didn't pour in like a lottery win, but she wasn't bleeding it either. Groceries balanced out. Her electric bill came in $30 lower. A surprise check from a freelance project showed up in the mail. Turns out, sometimes wealth doesn't knock. It waits for you to stop fidgeting. There's a certain kind of silence that shows up after too much effort. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that feels blank. Like you cleaned everything, checked every box, and somehow, you still don't feel any better. That's where Rachel found herself. After a few weeks of doing everything right, she fixed the way she swept, stopped over-vacuuming the wrong corners, even rearranged a few key zones, so her home could hold more wealth energy. And yet, she was starting to feel dull. Not depressed, just kind of like the energy had gone back to neutral, like someone hit pause on the whole vibe. She didn't realize the real problem was coming from the mop in her hand. Mopping had become Rachel's go-to reset. Whenever she felt overwhelmed, she'd fill the bucket, add a little too much lemon cleaner, and go from room to room like she was trying to erase a mood. But after a while, she started noticing something strange. The more she mopped, the more her cash flow slowed down again. Payments came late. Tech issues showed up at work. Unexpected fees hit her bank. And the weirdest part? Every time she finished mopping, the house felt colder. Not in temperature, in presence. Like the energy didn't want to stay anymore. In Feng Shui, water is a powerful element. It moves energy fast. It clears and washes. But if you're constantly using water, without knowing where it's going, you risk washing away the very energy you want to keep. Rachel was mopping in one direction, from the back of the house to the front. That means every time she cleaned, she was basically flushing energy toward the exit. And when you keep doing that, especially with no ritual of intention or reset, you wipe out all the progress you've been trying to build. Wealth energy? Gone down the hallway. Supportive flow? Pushed right out the front door. It's one of the most common feng shui mistakes people make. Trying to clean for clarity, but actually rinsing out their luck. Rachel had always seen cleaning as control. When life got unpredictable, she'd scrub something. When she felt stuck, she'd mop the floors like it owed her answers. But that kind of energy, the pushy kind, doesn't invite flow. It demands it. And energy, especially in Feng Shui, doesn't like being chased like that. It likes invitation. It likes stillness. It likes being asked to stay, not swept and mopped like a mess. Rachel didn't realize she was treating her home like a fix-it project instead of a relationship. And just like people, when you push too hard without listening, the space shuts down. It's like trying to meditate with the vacuum running, or trying to have a deep conversation while wiping down the table non-stop. Rachel was using motion to fake connection. And that's what we all do sometimes. We try to fix our energy by doing more. More cleaning, more wiping, more noise. But what we're really doing is mopping over signals that are trying to talk to us. She didn't need to clean more. She needed to understand what her space was trying to say. If this kind of shift makes sense to you, if you've ever felt like you're cleaning the house, but still losing your flow, hit like, subscribe, or even drop a comment. It helps YouTube know you're part of this quiet reset, and we're thankful you're here. She figured it out while journaling, not because she read a book. It was one of those oh my God moments when you suddenly realize the timing of things. Every time she mopped obsessively, something financial went weird. A fee, a bounced invoice, a canceled project. She searched Feng Shui plus mopping plus energy, and there it was. Clear as day. You never mop wealth energy toward the door. You clean toward the center, or at least section by section, so you're not flushing energy out. That tiny detail had been draining her progress. The next time she mopped, she made a shift. She filled her bucket with warm water and a drop of eucalyptus, put on her still energy playlist, and paused before starting. She didn't rush it, didn't aim for spotless. She moved slowly, starting at the front entry, and cleaned inward, toward the heart of the home. And as she mopped, she said one simple line in her head: clear what blocks me, keep what supports me. That was it. No full moon, no chanting, just a regular Tuesday, with a little more intention. And the house? It felt alive again, like she'd stopped pushing and started listening. 2 days later, a payment she'd been waiting on for weeks finally came through. No drama, no follow-up. She made a joke in her planner. Turns out, money comes faster when you stop pushing it down the hallway with a mop. And now, she's got a new rule. Don't mop angry. Don't mop fast. And definitely don't mop toward the door. Sometimes the problem isn't what you're doing wrong. It's what you're not noticing at all. You can fix the sweep. You can reset your corners. You can mop with intention and play the right playlist. But if there's a quiet leak in your home's energy, you'll keep working harder, just to stay in the same place. That's what started showing up for Rachel again. She was doing better. Money wasn't flying away like before. Her space felt more solid. She was sleeping, thinking clearer. But something subtle was off again. It wasn't the front of the house. It was the back. Rachel noticed it one afternoon while folding laundry. She stood in the hallway, looked toward the back door, and felt like something was slipping. Not dramatic, not spooky, Just this sense that the energy in her home was walking away without saying goodbye. The house didn't feel tight. It felt leaky, like something couldn't stick, like the abundance she'd been inviting in was slowly draining without friction. And it wasn't the vibe from the rooms. It was the pathways between them. In Feng Shui, energy enters the home through the front, but if it finds a direct path out the back, it won't stay. It's called rushing qi, and it's one of the most subtle but most draining layout mistakes. Rachel's home had a classic setup. Front door leads through a living room, straight into the dining area, then straight to the back door. No block, no bend, just a direct flow out, which meant every time new energy entered, it flew out just as quickly. Wealth energy didn't have time to land. Supportive chi didn't get a chance to settle. She wasn't pushing it out anymore, but she also wasn't giving it a reason to stay. Rachel had always been someone who liked things open and simple. She didn't want clutter, didn't like putting things in the way. She thought keeping the space clear meant she was making room for good things. But in this case, her love for openness was actually letting energy escape. The same way she used to give too much of herself in relationships and friendships, her house was giving too much away too fast. She realized having no blocks also meant having no container. And when energy isn't contained, wealth can't gather, cash can't build, support feels temporary. Her home looked calm, but it felt like a bank account that kept auto-paying everything before she got to feel the balance. It's like cooking a great meal and leaving the window wide open so the smell never gets to warm the kitchen. Or like turning on the heat with the back door open just a crack, just enough for all the warmth to slip out. That was Rachel's home. She was doing the right things, but the structure didn't know how to hold the benefits. She wasn't sabotaging herself. She just forgot to help her space retain the energy she'd worked so hard to invite. She found the idea of rushing qi while watching a Feng Shui video on YouTube. One of those old ones with grainy lighting and a guy talking about entryway lines. But when he mentioned front to back door alignment and how it can flush wealth right out of your life, Rachel paused the video. She walked straight to her front door, stood there, looked through the dining space, and yep, straight shot to the backyard. She didn't want to block the view, but she finally understood. Her space needed resistance if she wanted her money to linger. Rachel didn't want to build a wall, didn't want to start a renovation. So she did what she could with what she had. She moved a bookshelf, so it created a soft curve in the space. Not a block, just a bend in the energy. She added a small plant on a low table along the path to slow the flow. She even hung a wind chime on the inside of the back door, something soft to catch energy before it left. And she left it there, let it do its work. Within days, she said the back of the house felt warmer, not in temperature, in attention. Like the house was finally saying, "Hey, I can hold this now." 1 week later, she got a surprise Venmo from a client who forgot to tip on a past job. The same week, her son stopped asking for takeout and started helping with the groceries. Rachel looked around one afternoon and thought, it finally feels like money is not just visiting, it's starting to live here. And now, when she sees the bookshelf, angled just enough to slow the line, she smiles. Not because it's beautiful, because it works. Some mistakes don't come with mess. They come wrapped in style. Perfectly centered. Color coordinated. Minimal. Clean. But they still mess with the flow. Because in Feng Shui, what looks pretty on the surface can sometimes block the very thing you're trying hardest to attract. Rachel didn't see it coming. Not because she wasn't paying attention, but because it was the part of her home she was most proud of. The living room was her favorite spot. It had taken her months to get it just right. Warm-toned couch, a soft rug that didn't shed, muted abstract art that made the walls feel grown-up. It was her version of cozy minimalism. And people complimented it all the time. But Rachel started noticing something strange. Every time she sat in that room, she'd zone out, feel tired, start scrolling without purpose, or get stuck staring at nothing for too long. She kept telling herself, maybe this is just rest. But it didn't feel like rest. It felt like something got paused. Like her money momentum would hit a wall the minute she stepped into that space. In Feng Shui, not all calm is good calm. When a space feels too flat, too muted, too toneless, it can actually suppress the chi that's trying to move, especially when the elements are out of balance. Rachel's living room had no wood, no fire, no life, just earth tones on earth tones. It was soft to look at, but energetically, it was stale. No dynamic energy to invite cash flow. No focal point to draw the eye. No warmth to tell the space, hey, let's make things happen. And that's the thing. Feng Shui doesn't care how good it looks on Instagram. It cares how energy moves. And Rachel's living room wasn't moving anything. Especially not her money. Rachel had built that space during a phase when she wanted everything quiet. She had been burned out, tired of loud people, tired of decisions. So she created a room that didn't ask anything from her. But now, she was in a different place. She wanted flow, momentum, more wealth, more joy. And the space that once protected her was now holding her back. That's the emotional layer most people miss. Your home evolves with you. And if it doesn't, you feel stuck without knowing why. Rachel wasn't wrong for designing it that way. She just didn't realize she had outgrown it. It's like keeping your phone on Do Not Disturb because it helped you once, and forgetting to turn it off when you're finally ready to connect again, or wearing the same black sweater through every season because it's safe, and then wondering why no one compliments your energy anymore. Rachel's living room was stuck in a past season, and even though it looked right, it didn't feel alive. That stillness wasn't peaceful. It was flatline, and the wealth energy she was calling in couldn't land in a space that felt like a waiting room. She realized it while browsing Pinterest. She saw a space that looked similar to hers. Same palette, same layout. But the caption under it said, "Why your beige living room might be draining your energy." So she looked deeper. Feng Shui teaches that wealth needs contrast, movement, life. Rooms that are too beige heavy can suppress not just fire and wood energy, but also action-based chi. Rachel had unknowingly removed every energetic trigger that kept a space energized. No pops of red, no upward growth symbols, no water movement, no life force visuals. She had curated herself into energetic boredom. She didn't throw everything out. She didn't hire a decorator. Rachel just made 3 small changes. She added a bold painting. Not loud, just meaningful, with reds and deep blues. She brought in a tall plant and placed it near the east wall to invite wood energy and fresh growth. And she lit a candle with a cinnamon scent just once a day to warm the air and reintroduce fire energy. She also took down one of the 3 beige canvases that served no purpose beyond balance. The first night after the change, she sat in the room and didn't scroll. She journaled, and the word she wrote down, almost without thinking, was "Welcome." It didn't look like much had changed, but inside the space, it finally felt like it wanted her to grow again. 2 weeks later, Rachel booked 2 new freelance clients back to back. Same day. She didn't light sage, didn't meditate harder. She just adjusted the energy to match where she was in life. Now, every time she walks past the painting, she touches the frame, like it's reminding her, this is your next chapter. And the living room? Still calm, still her, but no longer silent. It hums now. And that's the thing nobody tells you. Sometimes it's not your effort that's blocking money. It's how your house responds to that effort. Rachel didn't make radical changes. She didn't turn her home into some perfect Feng Shui temple. She just paused, listened, and stopped treating cleaning like a chore, and started treating it like energy work. That's when things shifted. That's when money started feeling like it had somewhere to land. If any part of this feels familiar, if your space has ever felt a little tired, or like it's not quite on your side, you're not alone. We share 2 new videos every day to help you spot these quiet blocks and open the flow again step by step. So if you're ready to shift with us, feel free to hit like, subscribe, or drop a comment and share how your home's been feeling lately. It helps this small wisdom circle grow, and it tells YouTube you're part of this quiet shift too.